Hey guys, so today is going to be a hopefully another quick and easy modification to the car. I didn't plan to do this already, but a little experiment a few days ago led me to realize I've got to do this. So I threw on the two Cobra wheels that have tires on them and took the car for a short test drive. Now, they look awesome. But while I was driving, I got a ton of scraping. And as you can see there, that is not a factory tread line. That actually got scraped into the car over about 6 miles. And it's pretty darn deep. So if you look up here, you'll see where it was rubbing. It's this inner plastic liner, which has kind of a lip on it. And yeah, so that needs to come off. And I don't know if I'm gonna have to stretch the fenders yet, or if I can get away with just, rolling that inner lip up. My buddy loaned me a couple little sledgehammers to get the job done. And then if rolling the inner lip does not solve the full issue, then I'll go over to his place, and he's got a fender roller, and we'll actually stretch the fenders out a little. So I think I'm gonna start with the rears today, see if I can get those done. And if it goes well, I will tackle the fronts next. So I do have 2 more of these Cobra wheels. I just picked up a bunch of used tires from him. My car is full, my garage is full. And I want to get a matching set of 4 tires on the Cobra wheels so I can start running those on the car because they look so much better than the stock wheels. So first I got to get this thing in the air, get the tires off, wheels off, and then I'll show you guys how I have to remove the plastic, and then hopefully I'll have a second hand to help me here to run a heat gun so I don't destroy the paint. And we'll start trying to knock these in. All right, so as you can see, this starts down here. And then it's just little screws. Get my camera in the right spot. Screws all the way up. You can see this inner lip. That's what was actually cutting into the tire, and it is disintegrating. So first step is to get that off. It goes down to this thicker portion here, if we can focus, and then ends into the lower bumper cover. So I'm gonna zip this off, then we'll see what the metal looks like underneath. And then what we're gonna do is choose probably from like about here to here-ish. So we'll mark that off, tape it all off with some painter's tape, and then we'll be able to heat it up and start bending. All right, so this trim actually turns out to be just one big piece. The 2 ends are like kind of doubled up. You can see that one's actually tearing apart. But clip at the bottom. This end's thicker as well. There's a lot of dirt and sand buildup, but they're just held into the fender by these little plastic clips I removed and a few little screws. So I took that all out, and you can see now what I have is just kind of a flat metal surface. And now there's really nothing. There's a little line of sealer I might have to trim out so I don't end up punching that back into the fender and making a line. But for the most part, I'm just gonna get this trimmed up a little bit inside. I don't know if I can catch that or not. Yeah, there's just like that sealer buildup right there. So I'll cut that out, tape this off, and then we'll get started. But you can see like down in here, there's a ton of dirt buildup, and same back here. So next time I wash this car, I'm gonna blast these out real good. But yeah, let's get to taping. All right, so I got my two kind of my beginning and end marks based off of where it was rubbing on that piece of trim, and then I just taped up along the fender to kind of protect the paint as much as I can. For today, this is going to be our tool of choice. Like I said, today all we're trying to do is fold this up flat, and then if I need to flare these out any further, we'll use an actual fender roller and go along it. So Adam's wandering around out there. He's going to help me by hitting it with the heat gun.
I'm going to be useful today.
While I'm making a lot of noise and hope my neighbors don't get annoyed at me. The goal is to smash it flat between the two marks and then kind of taper it out from the end mark just a little bit. So like at this point, it'll be straight up and down, and by here it'll be flat, and do basically the same thing on both ends. So we're gonna see how this goes.
It's gonna go good.
This did not go well on my Civic, but I'm hoping to apply some lessons learned there and not completely jack this up. So I'm definitely gonna be doing some touch-up paint, but you can see, so I tapered it in, and then by my tape mark right here, it's flat against all the way down to this tape mark where I tapered it back out. So you can see there's a lot of paint flaking. Not as bad as my Civic because we had the heat gun on it the whole time, but I'm gonna have to sand this down and throw some paint so we don't have rust issues. But I'm gonna throw a wheel on it right now, compress the suspension, and see if we're remotely close. So obviously on the ground hitting potholes, and yes, I know about him, it's gonna be different, but you can kind of see, get you around where the sun's not hitting the camera. You can kind of see where that lines up now. I think we're gonna be okay. If anything, we'll only have to pull these a little bit to clear. As you can see, it's a lot better. And I just love the flush fitment there. So I'm gonna knock out the other side, then we'll drop it back on the ground and see how it looks. And there you have it. I just took it for a real quick spin down the alley and back. I cranked it through corner and heard the slightest bit of rubbing. So I will still have to pull these out a little bit, but that shouldn't be too hard. Man, this is gonna look so good with all four on there. Even with the silly high stock suspension, I think that's just gonna look so nice. They're on there, and we will pick this up tomorrow. All right, so it's been a couple days, had a little weather and work delay there, but we are now going to tackle the front fender liners, fender hammering today, and see what we can get done. Depending how long that takes me, I might also start pulling some interior pieces apart. My seats came in today. I'll show you those to you guys in a future video, but they're very sick and very purple. And but part of that job, I want to kind of do the seats and the door cards as one big project. So I'm going to start pulling the door cards apart here if I can. Also, hopefully this evening or tomorrow evening, I'm going to go over to my buddies and choose whichever 4 tires I want and get 4 good tires on the Cobra wheels so I can have a matching set. After I hammer these out today, I'll probably just throw the other Mustang wheels on the front just to completely get rid of the stock wheels for now. And then I'll see when I can get all 4 mounted up. And then of course I still need to go over and get the fenders actually rolled and stretched a little with the help of another buddy. So that's all to come, but right now I'm gonna get this thing in the air, get the wheels off, and start figuring out if I can keep the fender liners or if I've gotta remove or modify them to get the front hammered out. So similar to the back, you can see it's a kind of a plastic with a metal lip liner all the way to the bottom. It's also screwed into the front bumper in a few places, but I'm not planning to trim the front bumper yet unless I have to. So I'm gonna start here, take this whole trim piece off and then see what I can't make happen. So I went ahead and popped the whole fender liner out just so I could get a better access. And as you can see, there's a giant amount of dirt built up in the fender, so you can get an idea of what's exposed. You've got all this, it's actually popped out of place. You've got all this wiring. This I'm gonna have to relocate somehow up above the fender in the future so I don't scrub it with the tire and destroy it. But like the back ones, I'm gonna have to pop these clips out so that I can fold this up flat without destroying the fenders. And then I'm gonna have to find some way to artfully hammer this part without messing up the crease, because I think I'm gonna take it down to about this screw point right here. And then for now, all the way up to here. And then if I have to in the future, I can just trim the edge of the front bumper off to give me, you know, that much more clearance. So my hope is when I'm done hammering this all flat, is that I can trim the edge off of the liner, because it does screw up here, and then reattach it partially. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull out apart the other side, and then Adam should be out here in a few to help me heat gun and hammer these down. And then I'll see if I can modify the fender liners back inside. All right, so he showed up.
All right, I'm back again.
We've got the necessary tools for high-end modification of your car. So he again is gonna hit it with the heat gun for me. The backs were a lot more difficult because there are 2 layers of steel on those fenders, but the fronts are just 1 layer. So these should go way easier with tapping of the hammer and not full-on swinging of the sledgehammer like it took to get the backs done. So we're gonna tackle into this. All right, guys, so we got them flattened out pretty good. And you can see we got the front all the way around to the fender. So I'm gonna throw one of these bad boys on and do a little test fit and see if I can run them yet or not, or if I have to wait until we roll these out some more. All right, so there it is, suspension settled, because it burns oil and it's really hot. But tons of clearance on the stock suspension on the front end. 0 rub up here, only a little rub in the back still. So I'll probably use the fender roller just to clean up the fronts a little bit and then roll out the rears a bit. And I think we're gonna be good until I drop the suspension later on. So real happy with that. And very soon we'll have all 4 black wheels on this thing. So hopefully you'll see that very soon.